why do you think this has become a national issue here in Nigeria?
First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. First thing first is increasing awareness and accessibility of these facilities, because social media is playing a key role amplifying the paternity and the DNA stories, and people are getting more aware about all of these things in families. Number two is rising trust deficit in families and relationships. People no longer trust each other because infidelity is on the rise. People no longer believe they have to stay. We in this business, you get people telling you, Mr. Brett, am I not too beautiful to be with one man, or am I not too elegant to stay with one woman? So infidelity is on the increase. Trust is declining. Number three is financial issues. And the more a man is financially dependable, the more he wants to know the person who wants to carry his name and legacy. If he can afford these things, he wants to. But if he doesn't have the financial forever for that time, he will want to live with it. He will not care. But once he's financially stable a bit, he wants to know the paternity of the child. And one thing I always tell people is that don't just look at paternity. We also have to do maternity tests. Yes, because
I think you must tell us
what maternity test is.
Sometimes children are changed in birth. When you do paternity test and you discover that these children are not yours, you also check if the children belongs to the mother. Very, very important. People are being paid, people go to the hospital and they buy children. And so very importantly, while you check paternity, also check for the mother to be sure. Especially when the woman is saying, I didn't do anything. I know myself.
Now, let's look at how this is impacting marriages, family stability, and let's look like, does Nigeria have what it takes to care for this welfare? Now we're talking about welfareism now. Now, if this trend just started all of a sudden, and we are talking about trust here, you have brought another point, that children could even be swapped.
Yes.
While in the hospital, someone needs a male child, and she has all girls at home, she's trying to pay the doctors and the nurses for. How sure are we of this technology? DNA test, do we have the right facility? Because are we not just, let us think about our marriages. A whole lot of marriages are in shambles today because of DNA tests, paternity tests, and so forth. Are we very sure of these tests that we are running here in Nigeria? Do we have what it takes? Technology right in Nigeria, have we grown to that level of to say, okay, we have done this test, and this test, the outcome is the real result? Let's look at all of that.
In my own opinion, yes, to an extent. Some private hospitals and facilities have the right equipment. And one thing I was discussing with my counterpart from Jamaica for yesterday, I said there should be, if there can be a law that paternity testing should be done in birth, it will reduce all of these dysfunction that it creates in the family. If immediately after the child is born, part of the document that will be handed over to the parent are paternity testing. Nobody will think of, oh, he did not trust me, or he is having doubt about the children. You know that is a law. And this will also help our families to focus on these, oh, I know if I misbehave. From the hospital, my husband may abandon me, or the family may begin to abandon me, if peradventure this child does not belong to the man I got married to. I think we should look towards that direction. For the equipment, I think we have them.
All right, now let's look at cultural, let's look at morality here now. Where, like I said earlier, 25% of paternity testing has revealed, I presume that fathers are not biologically related to their children. In yesteryears, we used to have decorum, we used to have dignity, we used to have a woman knows that her body belongs only to her husband. But it seems that erosion of our culture, erosion of our level of dignity, that a man can just, or a woman can just do all of these things and not even party. We've seen cases on the social media where a woman gave, I think, 2 or 3 children, and it was fathered by her boss in the office, and you saw how that led to the death of that young man, that promising young man. We've seen cases, celebrities, where they after the testing, we're seeing that out of 4 or 5 children, just 1 belongs to the man. And often at times, your guess as good as mine is always the last child, not even the first, second, third, fourth. Let's look at the erosion of morality here in Nigeria and also in Africa. Do you think this is a major driver of some of the increase in paternity fraud we have in Nigeria?
Of course, yes. I think we need to strengthen relationship education. I recently started submitting letters to secondary schools and tertiary institutions that I want to start conducting emotional awareness and character developmental programs in schools to help educate our people on relationship issues. Our churches also have to start doing well, our religious organization. I overheard the pastor on the pulpit saying, telling the women that, what are you doing dating one man? You should date 4, 5, 6 so that you expand. All of these things have ripple effects on how people perceive relationship and marriage in general. If somebody who is pastors and government and also our government officials also have to help out, because sometimes, permit me to say, that they tend to spend more on ladies and all of these things.
Let me butt in here. Let me butt in here. Now, he talked about traditional and our religious beliefs and all of that in their role in all of this. Now, let's take our mind back to women. This paternity test of a thing, this DNA test just came up recently. It has been there. Let us think of a woman who knows that her husband is not able to impregnate her, because I've had cases where women, go to other men to try to help their husband get children. At times, it could be without the man's consent, knowing that the man might not even know his own. Maybe the doctors can call them to confidence to say, okay, look at what is happening here, if they are the one who has pushed for the test, to say, okay. And I know that African men or women generally do not go to check their potency. Are they potent enough to father children? And with the rise of artificial insemination and all of that, what I mean, IVF, okay, now people go to the hospital and they look at the husband. This man is not able to father children, and they tend to use other persons, and the woman, because of her pain, because of what she's gone through, she may just say, okay, I concur, since it's something that, at the end of the day, the man, probably because he's wedding now, he will now say, okay, let me go and find out, that look at all of that.
Yes, but you should not get yourself impregnated by another man without your husband's consent, even if that man cannot father a child. That's why I say that families should have conversation on fertility issues. Couples, especially in the dating. I and my wife, we did tests before, when we were dating, before we got married. We went to, then I was living at Ecosodin, I was a student, and then we went to run a test. We want to be sure. So you run a test.
Our stories are touched.
Yes, to avoid this type of story. You have, funny enough, the result came out. She was safe, I was not. I have to start treating. I'm always blunt. I love to be honest. So families, couples should have conversation on their fertility issues, boundaries, what you don't want, what you cannot allow in your relationship and marriage. Don't just think it will happen by accident. They said nothing happened except someone makes it happen.
Fantastic, and our producer is making it happen that we anchor the conversation here. For me, I think it's a whole spectrum of conversation where we need to have more time for the conversation and see how to address this issue. Because if we can see 1 out of every 4, if it's not addressed, it will end up increasing to 2 out of every 5. And this,
let us sponsor, push this, that paternity testing should be done at birth.
Correct.
That will solve the issue.
That will be part of the solutions to the issue, and I think that's how much free time permits us to accommodate in this conversation this morning.